Hello. Sorry. Oh, got something in my stuff stuck in my throat. Basically, what's been new is I got a haircut. Um, I got this cool cut on my nose from climbing a couple days ago. I think it was in my last video too. Um, I did get sick a little bit. Hence why my nose is super stuffy. Trying to think. It's really that about it. I've been really, really lazy today. A bit sad, honestly, the entire day. Um, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've been here in this state many times before. I want to say for a long time. Um, I don't really know what since about my dad passed when I was in the 8th grade. I've had these moments of just being down. And every time I get in one of these moments, I go through this routine, I guess, where I really focus on what is making me sad and what I can do to change it, right? But there's these occasions like today, it happens more often than not when there is not really a reason. When you're simply just sad, yeah? So, I really wanted to talk about this sadness and how it affects people. Me, really not people. And I guess how I go about helping it and fixing it a little bit. Maybe not fixing it completely, but getting rid of it a little bit. So the first thing is what it feels like. It's this pit like in your chest, right? Like it almost hurts, but it's not really physical pain, but it's there. And it is less of a, like I said, a physical thing, more of a draining of your motivation. It drains your, I guess, desires. I want to say a couple weeks ago, before I'd been making these videos to check in on myself, it was really hard to even get out of bed on the weekends when I didn't have to go to school. And even when I did have to go to school or at work at 5:30 in the morning, it's gonna be hard to get out of bed anyways, but it was for a different reason. It was more of the sake of just being sad, right? And there wasn't really much of a thing to do. And that's what it does. It gets rid of that motivation. And the way I learned to fix that is when you don't have motivation is because you're lacking something in your life to give that to you. So you have to give your life some kind of meaning to really, I guess, get out of bed. And for me, it was my future family. It was that thought. It is the thought of waking up and being in a big old house, alone due to all the work that I'd put into my life, due to all the hard work I've really just, every little penny in the piggy bank leading up to my end goal, right? And that's really what gets me out. And for other people, it may be for like kids, I guess, or I guess more adults, I'd say, is finding a relationship, and that's hard. That's a hard enough thing as it is, but finding a relationship and having that be your momentum to go forward, or your family, even the simple thing as a pet, waking up in the morning to take care of your animal, you know, work for it so you can give it food and come back. Yourself is a really good reason, like me, my future self, maybe even a future family, um, and that's hard, it's easy to say. It's easier to say than it is to do, right? Because people who are really sad, they're kind of just in their head. They listen, but they don't listen, And it's really hard to even have random people on the internet listen to somebody like me, but when you do find this spot, this place, if you are sad and you find this moment with me, it's probably because you are quite down. The internet is often, if not a person, a last, resort of, finding the reason of why you're sad for a lot of people, as I've found, and myself and my friends have told me. The few. And for those people, I want to say, there's this quote I like. I don't know who really said it, but I've heard it said a million times. When you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. And that really resonates with me, because it's logic, and there's almost no reason not to do it, yeah? And I don't really know how to, help you guys understand that. How getting to the bottom isn't over, there's always some way to get back up again. And making this video is really helping me to, I'm not at rock bottom, but to help, go higher rather than being low. Another thing I like to say to myself when I'm sad is look on the bright side of life. Because it literally doesn't matter what situation you're in, good or bad, Good situations, you typically don't have to look on the bright side of life because you're in that bright side of life, yeah. But even in bad situations, there is always a bright side of life. I bring this to my personal experience with everything that has happened in my life. This isn't easy to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it because I feel like it's a very strong argument for this, for what I'm trying to say here, looking on the bright side of life. Again, when I was in the 8th grade, my father had passed away. He overdosed on fentanyl. It was tragic, it was terrible, nobody even knew about it, he was just gone. And before that had happened, I had my 2 little siblings, and I I was very weak in a way, not very prepared for the world. And this happened to me, and although it hurt so much for everybody involved, it taught me how to be strong for my family, how to be strong for myself. It taught me how to just, like, look forward in life and, like, not get down over the past, because I kept thinking to myself during this time, there's like should have been a way I could have helped him. I could have like got him off his addiction. I could have talked to him, told him I loved him more, but I can't. I couldn't have, like I did that. So, it taught me to stop resonating on the past, I guess, to look to the future. And overall, it was a very tragic event, but it did make me come out much stronger, much wiser in a way, and overall a better person due to my eyes being opened on how quickly life can just vanish. Now that's a very drastic circumstance, yeah, like that whole thing. But it is a real one. Um Now let's just go into some smaller examples, yeah. I guess for a lot of kids my age, um this feels uh breakups. Now you get like out of a breakup and it's a little bit rough. You're especially if you've been in one for like a year and a half, like I was, you're been in one for a while, especially like in high school. That's a long time. Maybe not so much in the real world, like, outside of high school, but it's a long time and it hurts. But you've got to think, depending on what happened in that time, it's probably for a good cause, for a good reason. And you have to think that after you get out of that relationship with that person, you ultimately, you know, are going to probably be happier, because if it were meant to be, it would have been meant to be. So you have to think on the bright side, like, it will get better, I will be happier, and I'm going to be more reliant on myself in the end. And you have to think about that in all situations, you know, through deaths, through breakups, through just life in general, through whatever terrible experiences you may be going through. There's always a bright side of life. There's always something good to look at. And it may be hard, but it is true. There's always something good to look at. Always a lesson to be learned, even if there are no really good outcomes. The good outcome is the lesson. So, yeah. I'm going to leave it at that. This talk really has helped me just now to get that, I guess, pit of sadness out of my chest a little bit. Thank you guys, or whoever may be watching this, for listening. Peace.